Welcome. Welcome to Aurora Connects Season 2. This is episode 12 for Friday, October 30th, 2020, Halloween Magic. I'm Dawn Monique Williams, Aurora Theater Associate Artistic Director, and I am joined by Josh Costello, our Artistic Director, as I am every Friday. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Dawn, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I love Halloween, and I'm really excited to. I'm always, it's a frustrating one this year because the kids aren't going to get to go trick or treating. But my daughter has her cow empress pirate costume, and my son is too old and cool for trick or treating apparently. But trying to make it work.
Oh, well, I would love to see the pictures of the children still in their costumes. Even though I've been like Halloween is canceled, but I'm glad to see that it's not. That maybe door-to-door trick-or-treating is canceled, but that Halloween is still happening. Friends watching along today, as you know, we welcome those comments on Facebook, YouTube, and you can email us anytime with questions, comments, ideas for topics and guests you'd love to see on the show at connects@auroratheater.org. That's connects@auroratheater.org. And again, you can like and subscribe on YouTube to our channel. And this is available in audio podcast format wherever you get your podcasts. How cool is that?
You may notice Dawn has this fancy background that says The Flats, and that is our audio drama. Act 2 drops today, right at the end of this episode at 5 p.m. Act 1 came out last week, and we've been getting really lovely responses and great reviews. The Berkeley side review is awesome. And The Flats Act 3, the final act, comes out a week from today. So we hope that you will check out The Flats. It's included in an Aurora Theater Company membership. Or you can, if you are not an Aurora Theater Company member, you can become one, or you can purchase all 3 acts for one low price of $20. And we are going to share a little clip from Act 2 with you. I don't think it spoils anything in Act 1 if you haven't listened to it yet, but this is just such a great bit of dialogue from our 3 playwrights, Lauren Gunderson, Cleavon Smith, and Jonathan Spector, and our 3 really great actors who just are so lovely in this bit. Lauren English and Kari Moy and Anthony Fusco. So here is a little bit of The Flats.
I'm so sorry. I'm just fucking stupid and sorry. I hate myself on almost every possible level, and I'm just gonna go drink a lot inside.
Oh, no. Stay here. Stay with us.
For real. Stay.
You don't have to be nice to me. I'm not nice. I'm not fun.
You don't know if we're being nice or not. You don't actually know me, remember? Maybe we're being really mean, and the only reason we're asking you to stay is to feel good about ourselves. You know? Laugh at your pain in your face.
We're not doing that.
Maybe we are. Stay and find out.
I don't want to just sit here and get high and complain about shit.
I find that precise combination extremely cathartic.
That's just a day in the life of good old Brooke here.
I want to do something. I've been busy for a decade, but I haven't done anything, and I won't be that person anymore.
And drinking inside alone is doing something?
It is a primary step.
Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. It's so lit, folks. That drops at 5 today, so check it out.
We should say Elton Bradman is our did the music and sound design, and just did such a great job with that. So thank you to Elton as well. So please do check that out. Also, you can go to auroratheater.org to purchase membership, to purchase tickets to the Flats, or members.auroratheater.org will get you right there as well. And while you are on our website at auroratheater.org, you can click the donate button at the top right. We are launching right now our fall fundraising campaign. And this is, something we do every year, but this year it's particularly important because we've lost so much income from canceled shows and lost revenue from ticket sales for the shows we haven't been able to do. So for us to continue employing our staff, continue making great audio dramas like The Flats, and another one we're going to be doing in the spring, bringing you this show, bringing you our other programming. We really need the support. We're counting on the support of our fans and our patrons and our audiences. So please do, we are trying to raise $100,000. So please go to auroratheater.org and become a part of our fall fundraising campaign. It will help us get through this crisis and be here on the other side, bringing wonderful, intimate, personal, important live theater to you once again. Thank you so, so much.
Great. Today, we are joined by magician extraordinaire. He's the magician at the Speakeasy Magick at the McKittrick Hotel in NYC, co-producer of the Odd Salon NYC, owner of the San Francisco Ghost Hunt, co-founder of Fog City Magic Fest, 5-time winner of the Best Magician of the Bay Award by the San Francisco Bay Area Guardian. And he has performed magic and consulted on magic with Aurora and many other groups and theater companies here in the Bay Area. So we'd love to welcome Christian Cagigal to our show today. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Now, some of our audience might remember. What was that?
Josh, go ahead.
Some of our audience might remember Christian from Obscura, which was an Aurora cabaret show in 2015 in our Dasha space. Just such a fantastic performance that was, Christian. How are you doing? What's the latest with you and magic?
I mean, the latest with me and lots of magic is we all migrated to Zoom within weeks of all this starting. Lots of others have not migrated to Zoom, and they're finally kind of giving in these days. But I kind of did early adopter, as I don't tend to normally do, because I figured it was going to be a long time that we're going to be doing this, and I wanted to learn immediately how to succeed and fail at this whole thing. And I got to do the. I was an auction item for Aurora over the summer, and I did this show for y'all over the summer. And you've noticed I've already souped up my game since then, where I have a nice Canon camera now, and I do all this fancy eCam stuff where I could do graphics and things around here if I wanted to. So it's all still very, home based. I have a very small footprint in this living room. But yeah.
But I feel like that works so well for your style of magic. Right. It is there's something so intimate and personal about the way you tell these stories and perform magic just right in front of people. It's not the big, let's make a building disappear kind of stuff. It's much more. It's much more specific. It feels much more close and real,
Yeah, I think that's where I kind of came out okay over lots of other magicians, because they're still doing their stage acts. And I had a whole show that was played like I did at Aurora under a camera. So I was kind of like, oh, how do I make that work here? I should be able to make that work in this situation. And so lots of magicians are still struggling. Lots of magicians were still doing their cruise ship act where they're on stage with doves and such. And from 20 feet away with a web camera. And I was like, no, I'm going to do essentially what I did with Obscura. I have a top-down camera still here. And I can do top-down camera stuff. I can talk to you directly this way. So that's been really helpful. I think in that regard, I've been able to get a little ahead of the curve of some other magicians. Where I'm behind the curve is like, I always did theater and art while all my other friends did corporate entertainment. So they have an extensive clientele list. And I'm like, getting gigs, thankfully I've been lucky in getting the gigs and the referrals, and I've already had some repeat clients. So that has helped a lot during pandemic, PPP, unemployment, non-unemployment time. And so, yeah, and then now it's been October and I've been running normally I'd be running my San Francisco Ghost Hunt walking tour. I wouldn't be able to talk to you even right now. I'd be too busy getting ready for that. And I run that typically nine months out of the year. And I was like, well, I can't do it now. And even if they say you can do it now, I'm like, I don't want to have 20 people breathing at me behind masks, even outdoors. I don't want to be breathing on them. So I've turned this into a whole virtual thing where on Fridays and Saturdays, I do a whole slideshow. I kind of go split screen. I do a slideshow over here, and I tell you stories now, not just from the neighborhood that I normally do the stories in, but I get to tell you ghost stories from all over San Francisco. And it's gone well. These are the last 2 nights, tonight and tomorrow. I will probably bring it back shortly with a different version and some new stories, because that seems to have gone pretty nicely. So
that's great. I definitely want to come back to the ghost story, to the ghost hunt. But you also mentioned, some gigs, and we have an announcement to make right now, which is that Christian Cagigal is going to be performing for Aurora as a benefit for our members, but also single tickets will be on sale for his show Sortilegios, which you just had a successful run in San Francisco, but online. And
yes,
yeah, it's fancy, right? And now we'll be presenting it at Aurora for our patrons, and that's coming up in December. Tell us a little bit about this show.
It, like all artists, especially if you do like magic, which is typically thought as light entertainment, it's like with everything going on in the world, it's kind of like, what do I do? How do I address it? And I still wanted to do a show. It was going to take me a while before I learned how to do it, and getting to do gigs over the summer helped me learn how to do it. But for me, the show is very much the same way a lot of my in-person material is. It's about as much of a human connection as possible. And I think now more than ever, that's even more important. So I do everything I can to, with the medium of magic over Zoom, make the audience feel connected to each other, to me as an individual. A lot of times I think the magic is just the vehicle to just get to know somebody else in the Zoom, because people want to be able to feel like they're connecting to other people, peek into their home, see what's on the bookshelf. And it goes into spookier territory, as I like to do. The title, sortilegios, or sortilege in English, or sortilege in French, is how I first learned it. It essentially means fortune telling, spells, charms, but in my case in Spanish. And so even though I tend to do like spookier magic or darker magic or weird storytelling, I've never gone fully into like ghosts or the dead or fortune telling. And I thought, that if I'm going to be doing magic from my home, essentially like the parlor with all my weird stuff back here, it's going to be Halloween time, I should probably start touching upon those topics, and just kind of a fun, safe place to kind of believe in magic and connect with other people, and maybe like connect with the other side. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, it does not matter. They believe in you. And so it's my little safe place to play with magic and fortunes and spirits and such. So.
Christian, when I was reading over your bio and getting ready for this episode, I noticed that the first thing it says in your bio is a first-generation American of Spanish and Salvadoran descent. Yeah. So I'm curious, how does your heritage and how does being a first-generation American relate to your work as a magician?
It's a good question. I never played it up in my work, because I think, especially, I mean, if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it, it's like there's kind of a narrow vision of what it means to be Latino Latinx, where I never sold myself as the Latino magician or the Salvadoran, because that suddenly conjures up Ricky Ricardo, right? So I never like played that kind of a thing up. But I think where it still played into who I am is that whereas lots of other magicians still were kind of doing typical comedy club magic, which I love, but it was typical. Things were still very hackneyed and vaudevillian, which, by the way, I do actually love hackneyed comedy and vaudeville. I started going, no, let me talk about death. Let me talk about our own dark sides. Let me bring in things like family stories to make things more personal, to hopefully resonate in a different way. And I wouldn't play those things up too hard, but I let them just sort of be the pepper, the salt and the pepper that played throughout the material. And I was surprised how well that resonated with all audiences. And I think that comes from being Latinx, you know, growing up. I call myself a defunct Catholic. But Catholicism, you go to church every Sunday. I had to go to catechism and do Holy Communion, body and blood of Christ. These are dark ideas that play in the cultural mind, whether you go to church or not. And I think all that kind of just played on me throughout my work the past 15 years.
How did you become interested in magic, and how does one sort of train or study in the art of magic?
So there's a goat sacrifice and a bloodletting, and then you have to go train. Like everybody, like every kid, you're like, I mean, my old joke was only child, no dates in high school. And you just learn this thing. Like when I was like little, I always sort of drew myself as like a ringmaster, a performer, right? Like in school, and they say draw yourself, right? And then like first grade, there was Scholastic Book Fair, and I got the magic book, right? Fourth grade, McDonald's had magic trick Happy Meals, so I was kind of like dipped in and out of magic. I was never fully into it. And then for me, the tipping point was, if you recall back in the late 80s when comedy concerts were like extra special, because only once in a while did Robin Williams or Whoopi Goldberg do something. And Harry Anderson, who played the judge on Night Court, he had a comedy concert because he was also a magician. In fact, he used to be a con artist. He used to do like Shell Game in San Francisco. And he had this comedy concert on, and they were re-airing it. It was like 1988, summer of 1988. And I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. And he was doing comedy and magic and shoving a needle through his arm and then telling the whole story. And I was like, oh, I totally want to do that. I was like 11 or 12. And then shortly after that, longtime locals might remember the old TV show Evening Magazine on KPIX at 7:30, Monday through Friday. And they were going to a different location every day. And they were doing a thing from the House of Magic on Chestnut at Fillmore in the city. And I was like, Mom, you have to take me. And I bludgeoned them, and they took me to the House of Magic that Saturday and pretty much did not stop. That was August of 1988. And then in high school, I got into theater because I wanted to be a better magician. And then we know what happens when you get into theater. You fall down the rabbit hole of theater. So then later, right? Darn that theater thing. And so I got my degree from SF State. I was part of the San Francisco Mime Troupe for a few years. I did shows at the 42nd Street Moon way back in the day. And then around 2006, I was starting to see myself take my magic in a weirder, darker direction. And I thought to myself, this is back when we thought we can only be known for doing one thing, as now we can do like a podcast and a comic book and everything. And I thought to myself, well, I can't be really known for being the short, funny guy in the musical anymore. I might be doing weirder, darker things. So I'm going to I kind of put the acting on hold, kind of very back burner. I said I was in early retirement or semi-retirement to just focus on my work. And Exit Theater took me in as an artist in residence. And so they usually said yes to whatever crazy idea I said, like, hey, can we do a show for 13 nights straight? And they're like, we've never done that. Okay. I'm like, thanks. And I wouldn't have the work that I have without them, because they produced whatever weird idea I had. I'm like, I'm gonna do a solo show. I want to do a black box show where I switch the audience around at intermission and make them all lose their seats. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they're like, all right, let's do it. And they allowed me to grow as an artist. And then I was able to take all that work to fringe festivals, have a relationship with a theater in New York. Of course, not right now. And then I got to do Aurora. I got to take one of those shows to Aurora, and that was exciting. So yes, that's how I started, and that's kind of the train of events that led to where I'm at now.
So I'm sure that everybody watching is hoping that that we will ask you to perform a trick. So will you perform a trick for us? And And one of our staff asked me to ask you, will you pull a new round of PPP funding out of your hat for us?
I tried for myself.
Yeah.
I did luck out. Being in tourism, I think they were being nice to tourism early on, so I did luck out with a PPP loan.
That's good. That's good.
That definitely helped me survive the summer. Let's see, which one do I want to do?
Right,
now, Josh did it good. I'm glad. Now, Josh, you've already seen a lot of this, but Don, I don't think you have. So, okay. So, you see I'm here in front of the bookcase. You can normally you can't see this when I'm here at night doing shows at night, but there's like a creepy teddy bear with no eyeballs. There's a weird little devil figure right over here. There's other doodads and whatnot. I love to collect old stuff and weird stuff and other people's like tchotchkes and personal belongings from times gone by. So I have here a set of rosary beads from the early part of the 1900s. These have survived time quite well. I also have here a Psalms book, a little Bible, also from the same time period. You can see this is not as survived time so well. I also like to collect photographs. These are not the originals. These are the scans. Obviously, I don't want to ruin the originals. But I love black and whites and sepia tones. The way people stood, the way people wore their hair, the lack of smile. The smile had not been invented yet. So Josh and Don, all these folks share something in common. I will tell you what that is in a couple minutes. This, if we can bring Josh and Don back onto the screen. There we go. This is going to be some close-up magic. Voila.
Ooh.
Look at that production quality. Don's like no way. Now, Don, I'm going to mix these up like this. In fact, I'm going to go like this, so now we can just see my hands. Don, are you on a computer or touch device?
I'm on a computer.
Great. Do me a favor, Don. One good mix here.
Yes.
Now, look, I'm not going to ask anybody what they do or don't believe. I'm just going to ask that we respect these as items that really meant something to someone else one time. Yeah?
Yep.
Don, do me a favor.
Yes.
We have not made contact with lots of things or people in the past few months. Do me a favor. Take your fingers and touch the screen right there. Make contact with the beads right there on the screen. Yeah?
I'm doing it.
Perfect. Keep doing that. Now, Don, I'm going to show you these photographs one at a time. And from whatever sensations you get from the photograph, the beads, the screen, your hands, what have you, I would like you to say, keep or discard. I'm going to give you a clue. There's lots of keep mixed with lots of discards. All right? And just use your intuition. Just kind of like, just go with the flow. Ready?
Okay. Okay.
Go.
Discard. Keep. Keep. Discard. Discard. Keep. 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 Keep.
Keep.
Discard.
We don't like the chops.
Discard.
Discard. Funny look in his face.
Keep. Keep.
And one more.
Discard.
Discard. All right, you can relax. I'm going to place the beads on top of your photographs just like that.
Okay.
All right, Josh.
Okay.
Your turn now. Do me a favor. Make contact with that little Psalms book right there in the corner.
Okay. I do have a touch screen, so I'm not sure what's going to happen.
All right. So just hover over it. Then don't actually touch it then.
Hovering over it.
And just like Don did, here we go. Go.
Discard.
Discard.
Keep.
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 Discard.
Discard.
Keep.
Keep.
Discard.
Discard.
Keep.
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 Discard.
Discard.
Keep.
Keep. 3 more.
Keep.
Keep.
Discard.
Discard.
Oh, I was hoping that guy would come back. Keep for sure.
Keep.
Yeah.
And you can relax and place the Bible on top of your photographs just like that. All right, now let me tell you something about the people in these photographs. That is Mr. Nigel Wentworth. Mr. Nigel Wentworth lived in San Francisco at the turn of the 1900s. Mr. Nigel Wentworth died. This is Miss Sarah. This is Miss Sarah Moore. Miss Sarah Moore also lived at the same time. Miss Sarah Moore survived. This person died. That person survived. That person died. All these are folks who either died or survived in the great 1906 earthquake and fire. Don, these beads you are making contact with are said to belong to someone who survived. 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 Survived.
No way.
Josh. This book is said to belong to someone who did not survive. Died.
Uh-oh.
Died. 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 Weird. That was weird.
No, the odds are not in our favor that would happen. He made magic.
If you're watching in the chat, give Josh and Don happy emojis, ghost emojis, applause, give them fire emojis.
That was awesome. Thank you, Christian. You are a tricky man.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of the night. Like I am really hung up on how these things work. You know, if you just made the wand into a bouquet of flowers, I'd have been like, ha, ha, ha. But that kind of stuff really is like, what? Statistically, like the odds, like how, what?
Well, and having a story
cool.
to it too is so cool. And it is like this like macabre sort of story about death. But having the items, just the ritual, that there's something ritualistic about it. I don't know. It's so much fun.
Thank you.
I watch a lot of Penn and Teller Fool Us. Like that's like while I'm washing the dishes, I like to turn that on, and I love that show. But I feel like what you're doing is so much more than so many of those tricks where it's just coming out and like here's just a feat that I can perform. And whereas with you, it's like creating a whole story that and an ambiance and a tone and a feeling, and it's not just about the trick.
Right.
And it's I really love it. But I also it brings up a question for me is what do you believe in magic, like for real?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. Let's get into it. Okay, but then I have a question for you.
Okay.
What to you is magic?
That's a very good question too. I would say I'm a big sort of scientific method guy. Like I think that there are if a phenomena is real, then it could be at least theoretically proven by repeating and figuring. It could be repeated. It could be proven. It would work for multiple people. It would and if a thing is and so real magic would be something that is so far beyond that contradicts our scientific understanding, and yet is clearly really happening.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question number 2. Why did you ask me that question?
Because I find it so interesting. Mainly because I don't believe in magic, I guess, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I love it.
Dawn, do you believe in magic?
I do believe in magic, and I believe in ghosts, and I believe in the endowment of personal belongings. Yeah, I mean, I think theater is magic. We make belief. We create systems of belief through storytelling. So I absolutely believe in magic.
Right. So I completely agree with the both of you.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I was just kind of asked to kind of speak to magicians recently. Kind of magic clubs are kind of opening up all over the country. I mean, they already are open, but they're doing Zoom meetings, and now they can sort of have magicians from all over the world kind of come in and do like little mini talks and lectures and whatnot, and kind of asking me like, well, how do I do things? What's my approach? And what I tell them is, look, the first thing you have to decide with your material, with your show, with everything is, look at that, when my hair was slightly shorter, do you believe in magic or not? Whatever magic is to you. And you can usually tell who does not believe in magic. So Penn and Teller don't believe in magic. They created lots of fanboys and fangals and fan everybody's who are influenced by this idea that there's no such thing as magic. This is all trickery, but that can be a beautiful thing as well. That between what I do and what your mind does, we can create this beautiful illusion and just appreciate that it's not real. And that's why Penn and Teller love doing the whole kind of like expose thing. Sometimes it's kind of a faux expose. I shouldn't have told you that. And it also speaks to the cynicism that a magician may or may not have in their own work. Like it's not unusual that a magician will do an amazing piece of magic and then just leave the room thunderstruck and then completely pop that by making some dumb joke. Because they almost are uncomfortable with everybody going, oh my God, magic just happened, right? When we do something particularly convincing, excuse me. I say I want to believe in magic. I am more scientific method. I used to watch old unsolved mysteries because for the ghost stories, because I wanted to understand, well, if we can like trim away all the fake stuff, maybe there's a kernel of truth somewhere in the middle of all that. But I watched enough of those shows to go, okay, maybe there's nothing in there. I'm not feeling, even at 14, I was like, oh, maybe there's nothing here. But unlike other, and I do call myself completely like an atheist or a tooth fairy agnostic. I am not some angry Sam Harris loving, railing against anybody who believes in anything. I kind of love belief and I love magic and I kind of love religion, except when it gets a little too legislative in people's personal lives and other people's personal lives. I respect such things. I love the ceremony. I'm going to be blunt with you. I just came from a funeral today. And, there's lots of talk of God. And I just keep my mouth shut because it's not about me at that point. And I still, it's tragic and sad being there. And we won't go into those details now. But I love the ceremony of it all. I love the connections that I can create in the same way that Don was talking about, like theater to me is my church. I love a small theater. I love a big theater. I love all stages. And not because it's me, look at me, love me on a stage. It's because me standing at the foot of a stage, like that is my church. That is my cathedral. And I am in a moment of awe and wonder. And then I get to channel whatever it is I get to channel out, either as a magician or as an actor or both. So I put that desire for magic in my work. I like to create that place where everybody can believe in magic for an hour or two. I don't care if you don't believe in me afterwards, but at least for this 1 hour, we might have somehow had some connection to these items, into these photographs. For an hour, the doll may or may not be haunted. For an hour, I may be a time traveler. For an hour, I might be taking souls in games of poker by the end of the show. I don't know. For an hour or two, that's the world I'm in, and I hope everybody joins me. After that, you're more than welcome to go back to whatever belief system you had after that. So
I love that.
Christian, I'm curious, artists like David Copperfield or David Blaine have kind of helped keep this idea of like being an illusionist, like really in the popular culture. Help a layperson like me understand, like, are you an illusionist? Are all magicians illusionists? Is there a difference? Why do they use the term illusion? I've been curious about that.
I think Copperfield would make the joke, calling himself illusionist got him paid 30% more. Uh, it's a marketing term. Now the thing is, what an illusion is pretty within the lingo of magic that is typically applied to stage magic, and typically boxes or appearing animals or floating people or whatever. When you go to like the Vegas show, you see David Copperfield, he is doing illusions. When he does a card trick, that is a close-up piece of close-up magic or a card trick. But when you're doing the big box stage stuff, that is an illusion, and so hence you are an illusionist. What I'm doing there in that picture is not considered illusion. However, it's all an illusion. It's all a magic trick. I tend to like the term effect. It's a little less, I think, insulting than the word trick. But I'll still use trick just because non-magicians understand that terminology more easily. So we're all doing illusions. We're all doing things that we're not actually doing. But yeah, technically speaking, within the lingo of magic, it is a thing applied to a specific branch of magic that I don't actually do. So I'm not actually an illusionist. But if I had one big box trick, even on the Zoom call, I could then call myself an illusionist and charge 30% more.
What's the community like? I mean, in the theater community, we're all, we can be competitive, but we're pretty lovey-dovey with each other. And all the actors know each other in the Bay Area and are very supportive. Is it the same way with in the magic community?
Another good question. Here, yes. Overall, yes. I would say the magic community here is kind of like all the other arts communities here, or all the other communities here, where I say because lots of people come to California to get away from wherever they were from. Mm-hmm. And so to find your group, to find your family. And if you don't find your family, you go make your own. And then you can go make your own. And so there can be, 3 or 4 different theater communities within San Francisco, and then other ones all over the Bay Area, and they do or do not overlap some, right? Same thing applies to magic. So there's very much an Oakland contingent, and a Far East Bay contingent, and a North Bay contingent, and a South Bay contingent. And there is sort of a San Francisco contingent, although, the past 20 years, rent kind of spread all that out, right? The South Bay contingent is pretty strong, actually. And we all are at least aware of each other for the most part. We all know each other. We're acquainted. We say hi to each other. There's not too much competitiveness. There's definitely some, but it's not that bad. We all kind of like hang out at each other's clubs, especially with this whole Zoom world. We've all been checking in with each other, like, oh, how are you? Giving each other tips, not just on magic tricks to do or magic effects to do on Zoom, but like technology. Oh, what kind of camera are you using? Or you're using OBS. I'm using Ecamm. What do you think about, so there's always a little bit of competition, but especially now, wide open playing field. Because now, especially among like the working pros who are doing the private work, the corporate work, the happy hours, now you can have clients all over the country, all over the world. So there's kind of no need to be as competitive. People have been magicians have been really giving of their time and energy with each other, because we're all like, well, we're all in this together. Let's figure this out. And I think the Bay Area community is particularly better than I think the other major communities in the nation. And I don't quite know why. It could be just the California kumbaya-ness of it all. It could be the fact that we have milder weather. But yeah, so the Bay Area community in particular has been pretty great.
I want to get back to the ghost hunt.
Ghosts, yes.
Yeah, and especially because Dawn. Now I found out that Dawn believes in ghosts.
Dawn does believe in ghosts.
Yeah, I want to find out more about the ghosts of San Francisco.
Oh, what do you want to know?
Well, tell us. Start by telling us about the program itself, the ghost hunt, and what that program is and how that works, maybe if you wanted to tell us a ghost story, I would be happy to hear it.
I could maybe do that. Yeah, so I run the San Francisco Ghost Hunt Walking Tour. It was created back in 1998 by my good friend Jim Fassbinder. And I was in college, I was getting my theater degree. But I was already known for being the storytelling magician here in the Bay Area. And so he actually wanted me to help him create it. So I was kind of like co-director and creative consultant, consulted on like the magic effects on the tour. Then I started doing research for him. Then I started doing the tour for him, which was, very helpful when you're a college kid in theater, right? And then then I went off to the rest of my life. He continued running the tour for the next 17 years. Around Halloween time, he'd be going like 7 nights a week. And there you go. That's the version now. But yeah, and then like a few years ago, he was like, hey Christian, I'm going to be turning 70 soon, and I want to retire. And I was like, hey Jim, I'm turning 40 soon, and I need stability. And because oddly enough, running a ghost tour is pretty dang stable.
Is a lot of tourists who do it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if I wanted to, I could run it year round. I'm just lazy and I don't like being out in the cold for that long in the winter. But he would do it year round. He would like January 1st, at least 5 nights a week, and then sometimes 7 nights a week during high season and summer and Halloween. I am much lazier than him. But I've also been using this to kind of leverage getting to do more work in New York, able to fund that. But I took it over. I purchased it from him back in 2015 or 16 now. And I've been running it 9 months out of the year, 12 weeks a year. I run away to New York and I do stuff out there. But it takes place in the Lower Pack Heights, Japantown neighborhood. My spiel is you learn about real historic names of San Francisco, how they lived, how they died, and the reports of the hauntings after that. We don't make it up, we just report it. And then I let you decide what to do with the information. A few nights a week, we would get to enter at the end of the tour into the Hotel Majestic on the corner of Bush and Gough, old Victorian hotel, which apparently is still haunted by the spirit of Lady Lisa. And I missed whatever the graphic was, the picture was. And occasionally we get to go into room 407, which was her room. That is me. My friend Audrey Penvin took these photographs, these great photographs of me. That's a ghost. That's not a light streak. That's an actual ghost. It's actually, yeah, no, it's real. But yeah, I get to tell people, for me, it's also a vehicle for sneaking history into your tourist brain. So I deliver on the ghost stories. And there's some legends that are based on nothing possibly. But I made sure to, like, the people I could research, I researched, and I tell you as much as I can about them before you start freezing your shorts off because you're from San Diego and you thought you're still coming to California. And everybody's there in like their Alcatraz sweatshirt and their flip-flops, right? So it's hard to keep people educated in that situation. But yeah, there's been worse ways to make a living right about now the past 5-6 years. I kind of, as an artist, I put myself into a bit of debt doing fringe festivals and doing theater, right? So it was nice to have this. I've been very grateful to have this ghost tour that I did not have to create from the ground up. By the way, the sun is setting, so things just got darker in here. But I did not have to create. I know.
It's the spirit.
And yeah, so I've been very grateful to have that as my job and my own business. I can essentially make my own hours. I decide that I'm working only 9 months out of the year. I save my money, I pay off my bills, and then I run away to New York to pound the pavement out there and do work out there. And again, like I've always loved, I've never was into scary movies. I was never into horror films. Let me make it slightly brighter. But I always liked the stories of haunted places. Even speaking as someone who does not believe in such things, I love walking into a known haunted location. I love feeling, this atheist likes feeling the spirits of a haunted location. You can sort of feel the history. You can feel the stories. You will never know what those stories are. The tellers of the stories are long gone, but you can sort of just feel everything there, you know. And I love that, and I love getting to share the history of San Francisco, a side that people don't typically get to hear, the weirder side, or the obscured side, or the hidden side, and then I get to share with you these lovely locations in Pack Heights that look really amazing during, you know, foggy August with the moonlight coming through, or the streetlights coming through, and 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 even with even though I speak to tourists most of the year. Most of the year it's tourists, and then around Halloween time it's mostly locals. And my job isn't even to give you a ghost tour or to even spook you out. My job is to make your vacation a little better. My job is to make date night magical. And it's kind of fun getting to like help make make some memories for you and your vacation with your family, or help make, you know, the sweetie who flew in just to see you be impressed with you. It's kind of fun getting to do that while I get to tell you ghost stories and do a few magic tricks, and tell you cool history about this place that I love. So
yeah, I've been on my fair share of ghost tours. It's something I like to do when I travel or visiting historical sites, and I've found that that the ones that are most effective are when the tour guide or docent is telling you a story. Because I've been on ghost tours where like people like pop out of like crevices or something. You know, you're in Scotland and like some wigged person like pop. That that's that doesn't move me, but the stories, when people know the actual history of a thing, or they say, oh, this building used to be, you know, this kind of an orphanage or something, and you know, that kind of stuff, the historical detail is what always sort of moves me. So I should do your tour, because I've never thought to do it here at home. But it's one of my favorite. I've done it in Scotland and London and Dublin. I never thought to just do it at home. So
and I can proudly say this is there are other ghost tours now, but this was the SF Ghost Hunt is like the original like ghost tour of San Francisco. So you gotta come on the original.
oh, cool.
Well, we're coming up towards the end of the hour, and but it's so great to talk to you, Christian, and I'm so excited that that we're going to be doing Sortilegios at Aurora,
Yeah,
and that you're going to come back on December 4th and do some magic for us. There's that graphic again. Tickets are $20, or it's included if you are an Aurora Theater Company member. So you can get in by purchasing a membership if you haven't already, or you can buy a ticket just to see Christian do his stuff and tell his stories and work his magic.
I just put the mood lighting in here. It just got dark enough so I can do the mood lighting. There we go.
Yeah. Christian, just we haven't done this actually for a while, but we like to end by asking what's bringing you joy this week?
Oh, Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween always brings me joy.
Yeah. Do you have a Halloween tradition?
I work. I don't have a Halloween tradition. People say, do you do something special for Halloween? I'm like, I am Halloween. People come to me for Halloween. But you know, I basically like, it's the thing I do year round. I get to do now, and people come to me for it. And I get to make a living doing it, and I love doing it. So, you know, worst ways to spend my week for Halloween.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on Aurora Connects, and thank you so much for doing your show for us, and for sharing a magic effect with us today. And we'll look forward to seeing the show.
Awesome.
Yes, December 4th. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Christian. So we are going to wrap this up. A reminder that Act 2 of The Flats is about to be released. So members can go to members.auroratheater.org to get access to The Flats, to Act 2, and single tickets are available for $20. Or if you already purchased a ticket for Act 1, Act 2 is included in that price.
Josh, do you have you're going to do a shout out this week, Advocacy Spotlight?
That's right, I am. This week we are spotlighting the Black Organizing Project. Black Organizing Project is reviving the spirit of Oakland's Black community through relationship building, leadership development, political education, and policy change. That is blackorganizingproject.org. And on the subject of advocacy, I will just say, please go vote if you haven't already.
Vote, get out and vote. Friends, thank you as always for watching. And again, if you want to share tips, tricks, ideas, thoughts about what you'd love to see on the show, please reach out to us at connects@auroratheater.org, connects@auroratheater.org. We love hearing from you all. Next week's guest is Dr. Melissa Hillman, known to many of you as Bitter Gertrude, a former artistic director of Impact Theater, which, as you all know, Josh founded himself back in the 90s. When I was still in high school.
Oh, thanks, Don. Yeah.
But Melissa is my dear friend and a mentor, and she is the bridge that brought Josh and I into one another's lives. So I'm so excited to host her on the show next week. And also, as the community partners program manager, I wanted to share that one of our community partners is Cal State East Bay. If you remember a few weeks ago, maybe it was months ago, I don't know, but we had a Cal State East Bay reunion, and many Cal State East Bay faculty and staff have worked at Aurora over the years, including the one and only Daryl V. Jones, who directed for us the Royale in Detroit 67. He has directed Blood at the Root, another Dominique Morisseau play with students at Cal State East Bay, and they have made what Daryl is calling a Zoom movie. And we just want to give that a shout out, and we want to encourage our patrons to check that out if they are able. So as Josh and I sign off, we will roll to a video message from Daryl telling you more about that project.
And don't forget, we are in the middle of our fall. We're right at the beginning of our fall fundraising campaign. We're trying to raise $100,000, and we need your support. So please go to auroratheater.org and click the donate button at the top right.
Thanks again to Christian for joining us on this pre-Halloween magic episode. And thank you all at home for joining us. And thank you for staying connected. We'll see you next week.
Greetings. I'm Daryl V. Jones. And some of you may know me from productions I've directed or performed in here in the Bay Area. For Aurora Theater, I directed the Royale and Detroit 67. And I'm joining you today to invite you to a production that I've directed at Cal State East Bay, where I'm also a professor of theater. That production is a Zoom movie production of Blood at the Root by Dominique Morisseau. Now, I say a Zoom movie because it's not like a live reading done on Zoom. What we've done is we have captured well-rehearsed performances in the Zoom platform, in addition to some outside footage from that we recorded locally on campus. And then we have this brilliant choreography by Laura Elaine Ellis, who's a local legend. We've added music that was created in part, some from the original text that Dominique gave us, but arrangements were created by Jamie Williams, who's a local rap artist and actor and spoken word artist. And then we have original music that scores the entire production by Adam Hughes, another Cal State East Bay student. In addition, we have these wonderful student actors and designers who've done amazing work on this Zoom movie. So it won't look like something that you're just showing up for and watching that's being read live. This is a little fancier, and it's really an exciting production to watch. So, how can you get tickets for this exciting production? You can go to the Cal State East Bay Theater and Dance Department website, and from there you will see Blood at the Root will come up, and you just click on the link and it'll take you directly to the Show Ticks for You box office where you purchase the tickets. So you could also go directly to Show Ticks for You, that's SHOWTIX, the number 4, followed by the letter U, .com. That's showtix4u.com, and on their search bar, type in CSU East Bay, and once again, the ticket information will pop up. Lastly, you can call 510-885-3118. That's 510-885-3118, and you will that number you can ask for information about how to purchase tickets. The show is going to be streamed from November 6th to November 15th. From the 7th to the 15th, all of those tickets are on demand. So you can watch at your leisure within a 48-hour window. For the tickets on the 6th, that's our opening, and that's the only date and time, or that's the only time that's synchronous, and that's at 7:30. So that will, for the 6th, you must show up at 7:30, but for the other dates from the 7th to the 15th, you can watch whenever you want to watch. Blood at the Root is a striking new ensemble drama based on the Jenna Six. It's a true story of 6 black students who were initially charged with attempted murder for a school fight after being provoked with nooses hanging from a tree on campus. This bold new play by Dominique examines the miscarriage of justice, racial double standards, and the crisis in relations between men and women of all classes. It's been described as moving, lyrical, and bold. Blood at the Root probes the complexities of race, individual freedoms, and what justice means when biases have been normalized. This play is a play for this moment in American history. It opens up the uncomfortable conversations about race, gender, social inequities based on biases that we all know are important conversations and uneasy conversations to have, but watching these students have these conversations opens up the door for the rest of us to follow suit. It's an important play. Please view it. You're all invited. Thank you.